little bit of historical background on where this all comes from. Basically, at the YEP Area C, we have been thinking we constantly think of how can we bring this YEP approach and methodology, which is implemented in so many communities in Europe already. How can we bring it to new communities? We also were inspired by some YEP sites, including Italy, where YEP was very much focused on youth centers or youth clubs, where this was, so to speak, a starting point of approaches we have learned from Inbuild Your Future, and the end result was this project, and with different steps, 3 stages, 3 Ps, 3 modules, which we go into in a minute. Before that, we thought and discussed this in Turin at the partner meeting. We thought there's many organizations, partners, who are not familiar with YEP, who are not doing YEP apart from Slovakia and Italy, but who have very likely have very common values, common goals, and therefore we thought it is very important in Turin to get together and to define the common ground. The common ground of PPP is crucial because we all need to have as a starting point common goals for this project, and we discussed this, we did group works, and came basically to this conclusion of defining these common goals and the common working principles. So these goals, as you can see here, they are also in your manuals, are the result of Turin, basically. There are 5 goals: youth participation and empowerment, active citizenship, individual growth and development, so learning, basically, of individuals, community empowerment and partnership, and inclusion and social cohesion. You have seen this in the guidebook, or in the yes, in the guidebook. Is it called the guidebook?
Yeah.
Yes, because we changed that name 3 times. So you have also seen the working principles, where these goals are declined into working principles. I'm not going to read them all. They are on page 5. So for youth, just as an example, for youth participation, young people identify their needs, develop projects and implement them, receiving feedback. For, for community empowerment partnership, one working principle is working together and partnership is fostered. And the members of the community are actively involved in the process. So you have read this, I hope at least. And especially for those, and also for those who were not in Turin, but are we agreeing on these common goals? I mean, we already agreed on them in Turin, but now we also wrote them, put them together, and are we on the same page? Or is there any comments or questions on?
About documentation. It is about documentation, but of course there is something more exciting in it, I think, personally. And this is working with people, and this is also being involved in the project. And for coordinator, it means to be in charge of networking and to gather people on board, the local stakeholders, so young people and the residents, the NGOs, the church, if you have one there in your area, and whoever is interested in change. So for coordinator, it's very important that you are spider in the web, getting the necessary strings attached and having it in your hands. And then you organize the meetings with the stakeholders, and you basically facilitate the process of the cycle together with the second person. And the policy dimension means that we also want to have some impact with this project, which is not only at the level of doing things in one room, so that nobody sees it and knows it, but we also want to show the results to wider public and also to involve some important decision makers from your community in this process, because only then it can be sustainable, the project results. And the policy dimension is about thinking, who can I involve also to maximize the benefits of this process for change. And yeah, it's the policy makers who you want to talk to. The mayor or the, how do you call it in Italy? There's assessore, and I don't know the Czech term for this, but you also know these people and you know the positions being in charge of this policy, and this is where we also want something bigger to happen as a result of this project. That more people know about young people becoming actors of change, and that they support it actively and they also help you to do this process. And then there comes the cherry on the cake, the final project conference in Turin, which will be in slightly more than a year. And yeah, and this is where you get together once again, share the results of the project, bring some young people to participate, maybe policymakers as well, if the budget allows, or external circumstances.
The rules allow, because in the future they are not allowed.
Yeah, maybe in Italy it's another thing.
We have to check.
Yes, we have to check. Anyway, there will be one more meeting for coordinators to come together, bring young people and meet and see what happened over this project cycle of 1 year and a half.
Agreeing on those. So, 15 minutes left for the cycle. So you've seen this cycle on the walls in 10 times in the workbooks, in the exercise book. It's something you are already familiar with, but I'm just gonna go through this to get again an overview of the whole 2 years project. And there are two levels, as you can see. There's the cycle of change. You've seen this in the guidebook and we've discussed this. This is based on the YEPA project methodology. This is where this is based on, and it has been adapted to this project. The bubbles, the stages are the same. But we had to basically do an exercise on fitting them into 3 stages, 3 modules, and in a total of 2 years program. And here's the results. The second stage, or the second level, is here at the bottom, is the intellectual outputs, which are products we have to basically produce in the context of this Erasmus Plus project. So we get money from the European Commission to implement this project, and what we have to deliver at the end are intellectual outputs. And each partner also gets money to work on these intellectual outputs. And this is why these are very important, because if we don't deliver these intellectual outputs, we
stop at this moment for this point. And then organizing 3 local workshops for young people and LSE members. This is what Johan explained. The workshops can be several sessions, it can be 2 days. There are paid days for this job, according to the contract. And it's up to you how you split this time according to what's best for your community, for your place. Okay? Then leading the local stakeholder circle through the cycle of change, through the key elements. Key elements are the bubbles, and this is the task where it crosses with the task of coordinator, that you both lead this cycle of change together and help each other, obviously. in this. And then engage young people in participating in the PPP challenges. So PPP challenges are the creative tasks at the end of each module which help you to motivate young people, and this is done as the form of a video competition or videos where you ask young people to make a video based on the content of each module, and then they compete at the international level of all these countries, and there is always a chance to win a prize for your idea. So we encourage that very much, and the details are in the guidebook. And then monitoring evaluation for the local level. This is very much linked to the local workshops. When you work, you evaluate. This is a principle. You do things, then you reflect, and you write down the findings. This is about it. For the local level and for EU level, these are the things which need to come into the report, like final evaluation reports, and I think that's it, pretty much. Am I right? Yeah. And then there is one more exciting thing for the trainer, and this is youth exchange in Bacău, where we have to talk still with the team of Bacău. And by the way, we have 6 people from Romania who came to Berlin. 6, counting the youngest members. So this is very much the sign of interest, if I may interpret it this way. Thank you very much. This is really great to have you all here. And yeah, there's gonna be youth exchange in the middle of the process in spring. I think it's between module 2 and module 1 and module 2, where those young people who you actively involve and probably most active from the group have a chance to come to Romania for the international youth exchange. And there are gonna be also elements of training at this youth exchange tied to the content of this project, and there are gonna be some youth exchange and yeah, interesting training sessions which we have to think of. But this is also capacity building element at the international level for this project.
Will be basically this team of 2 will be guiding this whole process in their local community. Identifying your community is a very important step as well. We added, actually it's not originally there in the YEP cycle, but we thought it's very important here, and we will have an exercise later where you present basically what is this geographical zone of implementation or intervention you have decided on, where do you want to implement this project. Then establishing a stakeholder circle, you also know this one, and we discussed it a lot. It's a very crucial step, because it is all based on partnership, and the stakeholder circle is based.
I wanted to ask you one more thing. If you look at your team, I mean, most of the people came as the team to this training, so those who could, who were able, which is really great. But what I want to know maybe is what's the essence for you to work as a team, to work now closely as a team of 2? So what are the qualities which you would like to see in your work together? And I suggest that you, you just, I mean, you can discuss it as a team, or if you know it, you can tell us in the that this local team is built on cooperation, which means you help each other when you work within your area of tasks and expertise, but it's still very much about the exchange, and that you share the results, the process, but also successes and problems with each other, and you help each other in this. And it's also very much about trust, about trusting in the expertise of another person who is the half of the group, so to speak. no, the second person. But maybe is there anything else you want to add to this list of the important qualities? What's important for you to work as a team?